Every event that you have recorded into your project has a series of handles on it, and those handles can be revealed by hovering your mouse pointer over the events. And the types of handles that are contained on any event will change depending on whether it's a MIDI event or an audio event. For example, on this string pad, it's the most basic of events that we have in this project. I'm just going to open that up a little bit larger so that we can see it. And then you can see the handles on the lower left and lower right hand sides. They're those little boxes, and when you hover your mouse over them, it turns the pointer into arrows pointing to the left and right, because those are the resize handles. With those, you can click and drag and resize the event, either to make MIDI events shorter or longer, or their beginnings shorter or longer. MIDI events are different than audio events. With MIDI events, you can make them as large as you want to, whereas audio events will be limited to the size of the actual recording. And you'll notice that as I'm moving those handles around, they're snapping to the bar lines. That's because I have snap turned on right now. I could turn it off by typing J or turning off the snap button right here, but if you hold down the Control or Command key while you're resizing, that will temporarily disable the snap, so that you can resize an event to any size that you want. And the other handle that you see here is the repeat handle. I'm going to resize that with Snap On to get it right to the beginning of measure 7. And if I wanted to repeat that event a number of times, I can click and drag on that repeat handle, and it will start to add repeat counts, starting with 1 and then going to 2. As long as you hold that repeat handle down and drag to the right, you're able to make those repeats. Now, this particular event is not overlapping with any other events. It's by itself, which is why we don't see those pinstripes. But things are a little bit different on our drum track. I'm going to make that a little bit taller so that I can see it, because as you remember, I recorded these in loops with different instruments on each lane, and we can see those lanes by opening up the comping tool. So I have one that's kick and snare and another that is cymbals. I'm going to close that up because when you hover over this event that has the pinstripes on it, indicating an overlap, then I have the overlap handle. And with that, I can choose which one I'm currently wanting to listen to or hear in my project. So when I click on that, then I can choose between each of those events, either the kick and snare or the cymbals, or if I wanted to choose the kick and snare but get rid of the cymbals track, then I could click on that event handle and choose Remove Overlaps. Now when I look at those comping lanes, I don't see the cymbals anymore because that Remove Overlap removes the events that you don't have selected with the overlap tool. So I'm going to undo that to get us back, because now that we're in the comping lanes, you'll notice that the event has changed its shape a little bit. Instead of just being a little black box, it has 2 diagonal triangles in it. Now we're looking at the comp handle. And with the comp handle, you'll notice that when you hover over that, it turns into the same comping tool finger that we had in the audio comping that we saw in the last section. And with this, you can click on that handle to mute out the events that you don't want to hear. Very similarly to using the mute tool that we used previously, but if you're in the comping lanes on MIDI information, you can choose to just mute the ones that you don't want to hear by using that comping handle. But I'm going to make sure that both of those are audible and then close it up. And let's talk about the additional handles that you'll find on audio events. So here's our bass guitar event. I'm going to drag that open. And when I hover my mouse over that, you'll notice that it has the same resize handles in the lower left and lower right hand corners of the event. It also has the repeat handle, but it has new handles at the top. There's a fade in and fade out handle, as well as a clip gain handle. This will change the gain of the event. So if you wanted to make an event by itself louder or softer, you can do so with the gain handle. You can even increase the gain. And if you're recording in 32-bit floating point, you won't hear any clipping, even if the event itself is going to clip because it's going beyond 0 dB. That's one of the huge advantages to 32-bit floating point processing. But I'm going to undo that to get us back to the original. And then with fade handles, you could resize an event and then slowly fade an event in or slowly fade it out. So the fade in and fade out handles, as well as the clip gain, only appear on audio events. And next, let's talk about the editing tools.